Welcome back, YouTube. I was going to hold R for a little while, but honestly, I think this is the second run. We got Dimensional Tears. I'm going to run with it on Cellar, and we're going to carry on with trying to do Keeper stuff. And we managed to go the entirety. Well, I say the entirety. It was only a half an hour run because it died on Hush again. But I did go the entirety of the run without even bringing up the things I had to talk about, because we ended up just talking about other random stuff. Yeah, everybody died to Hush. So I did have two topics of conversation for chat, and I was going to let you pick. You can either pick my excursion to the dentist today with associated Kickstarter talk, and I'm not going to explain how that makes sense until I get to the topic of conversation. Or I can talk about what I did on my day off, which was I did some reading. Didn't watch any movies, so I don't have any movie talk to do, but I did some reading. So which part? They all kind of match up eventually. There's connections between them all. So the reading stuff or the dentist stuff? And dentist seems to be winning. Yep, masochists. Alright, fine, we'll go with the dentist story first. That was the second appointment I had, just to repair all the lost fillings over the past 2 years, roughly, of lockdown and whatnot, so I haven't been to the dentist in a while, and some old fillings fell out. But this one was the worst one. You might think the first one was, because I got like 3 numb injections in various parts of my jaw that hurt like hell. Jaw's not as sore today because it was just the one. But they also did the worst part of any dentist visit, which is the scaling. I really needed that penny. Oh good, we both have triple shots, a fair fight. Scaling, aka cleaning, aka making your gums bleed for their own amusement and force you to experience pain. Where they do a little drill along the base of your teeth and gums to clean your teeth of the plaque and just make you bleed and hurt. You've never had a scaling done? They call it a scaling, not a scraping. A scaling. I have long suspected it's just something they tack on to charge you a little bit more. Either way, it hurt like hell, and probably was needed after so long without one, but there was a lot of blood when I had to clear my mouth out after getting it done. There was a lot of blood. Both partly because she definitely cut deep a couple of times, but also like medication I'm on has blood thinning, so it's probably also what made it worse. Well, it has been over a year, so yeah, it makes sense, but they always find an excuse to do it. It's not her, the actual replacing of the filling that fell out, was totally fine. You've never wanted a fish hook scraped against your teeth? Yeah, I don't really recommend it. It's not very pleasant. But the rest of the visit was okay. And this is like where the stories all start kind of like connecting like a multiverse. Because I kind of had like a silent, I don't know, wager isn't the right word. What's the word? A silent kind of like ultimatum to myself. Yeah, ultimatum, that's the perfect word. Where I was like, okay, I'm gonna gauge how anxious I feel on my trip to the dentist. The first trip, which was actually the worst of the two, because there was so much more work getting done, and as I say, getting 3 injections into the jaw hurt like hell. Oh, yoink. But I had a little ultimatum to myself where I was like, okay, if I get overly anxious on this trip to the dentist, I'm gonna not get any Kickstarters this year. I'm gonna swear to myself I'm not gonna back a single one as punishment. And then I was like, okay, but if I don't have any anxiety problems on this little excursion, well, maybe I'll treat myself. And would you know it? I mean, I felt a little bit anxious when I first got there, and then after that it was totally fine. I haven't spent anything, but this is all connecting together. I told you, it's a multiverse. Because, like, you know, your anxiety is all just like it's all just stuff in your head. So I basically just psychologied myself into having a reasonably fine trip, which worked. Not connected to that though. The other part of the story I want to tell about being at the dentist is when I left, because I just want to. I have no idea what the lady's name is. Not my dentist. I know what her name is, obviously. The person who was working the reception desk when I left. It was not the person who was working the reception desk when I arrived, and I was only in there for like half an hour. But I have no idea what the lady's name is, but I want to call her out for being a rude bitch. She was an older lady. She was clearly just back from holiday because she was very tanned, and the weather here has not been tanning weather. Let's just put it that way. And I paid, and she gave me my receipt. And when I say she gave me my receipt, what I mean is she ripped it off the top of the machine after I used contactless payment. She chucked it at me. So I was like, okay, fine, that's a little rude, but maybe you just don't want to touch hands or anything, or even have like the chance of touching hands because of COVID. That's fine. So I took it, and then as I went to say, oh, thank you, have a good day, goodbye, you know, whatever, she had turned her head and was having a conversation with the other receptionist. So I kind of took it and I said, thanks, bye, and waited for a second to have, you know, the call and response. And the rude bitch was just talking to the other receptionist. So screw you, you old bitch. I was going to call her something much worse, but how dare you? Like, that's part of your job, to pretend to want to be nice to customers. It was so rude, and there was absolutely no... like, I wasn't rude and... Whoops. Ace of diamonds. I thought that was 2 of diamonds. Oh well, I deserved that. There was absolutely... like, I had no interaction with this lady in a bad sense that warranted her being a rude C-word. That's what I was going to call her. And it's not like the other receptionist didn't realise she was talking to me and started up the conversation. She was the one that started the conversation with the other receptionist as she threw my receipt at me. So screw her. It's a good job I like my dentist. Like, I hate being treated rudely because I try my best to not treat people rudely. Especially in like a exchange of money situation, because I've worked in retail enough to know what it's like to be on the receiving end of someone just wanting to treat you like shit. So I treat people who are at point of sale with respect. So it is infuriating to me not only to experience rudeness, but to unwarranted rudeness is just a massive pet peeve. Like, there was no reason for it. But anyway, that was just entirely tangent. I just wanted to call this old bitch out. But that's that part of it. Old Dennis is back where I used to live. My mother very kindly gives me a lift there and back because I don't drive. And then on the way back, she just happened to mention to me as we were driving back. Oh, I don't have a key. She said to me, oh, by the way, I'm going to give you and your sister a little bit of money. And then instantly I asked what I imagine anyone would ask in that situation when a family member just decides to give you money is, oh, what's wrong? Is something wrong? And she said, no, nothing's wrong. I just, well, this is also going to go off on a tangent, but one of my grandparents is in a home, so my mother has been learning firsthand as the executor of his estate how much money care homes take from people who have the money to afford it. Like, if you are penniless and you have to go into an old folks home, the government covers you. But if you're not penniless and you have to go into an old folks home, they charge you a lot of money for existing. A lot of money. I'm not going to go into too many specifics, but I know how much it is as well, and it's ridiculous. So it basically eats into any like potential inheritance to make sure your kids are doing fine. So that's probably been on her mind a lot. So she just said, no, I just don't want all my money to disappear to taxes and old folk home costs. I want you and your sister to enjoy it while I'm still here and all that kind of stuff. So she's like, okay, I'm just going to give it, it's not going to be much. It's just going to be like a few hundred. And I'm thinking at the back of my head, Kickstarter. It's like it's serendipity. Because I was balking at the price of the Marvel Zombie Kickstarter. And then my mum, I did, like, she did also say, you know, spend it on whatever you want. She didn't say, like, this is for your future or whatever else. So I think that's got that covered, which is just as well, because, again, tangentially connected to that. Oh, actually, on that note, you've also got to be careful if you're in the UK and you start giving your money away. This is the other thing that we've also discovered back when my grandfather still had his marbles. There's obviously inheritance tax. Well, maybe that's not obvious. Maybe it's a UK thing. I don't know. You have to pay tax on inheritance here. And people obviously want to get around that. So there's also laws in place where you can only give a certain amount of money as a gift to a family member before you're breaking the law. I don't remember how much it is. I think it's $3,000, but I might be misremembering. We're gonna have to miss that. I'm gonna go blow up the shop. But it's a way, like, they know people would want to get around inheritance tax, so they limit how much you're allowed to give as a gift to a family member in any one particular instance. Actually, you might give me what I need. I just need a penny. That'll do, pig. That'll do. I've forgotten where I was in the story now because I went off on too many tangents. Oh yeah! Serendipitous, because I was looking into, like, Bard Song is shipping soon, and Steamforged Games has successfully made me regret making that purchase with their absolutely cringe attempts at fiction. So I was looking into, like, how much did I pay for this again, and how much could I get for it on eBay to kind of cover the cost to switch to the Marvel Zombies Kickstarter instead. And I had it in my memory that I spent like £300, British pounds, on Bard Song. But when I went to look, I was like, actually, I'd totally forgotten, but Steamforged, they didn't charge that much during the Kickstarter. Presumably because it's not a licensed IP. It was only, well, I say only, it's still a lot of money, but it was £120 for the Bard Song box, and also the one expansion they did for it. There was a higher tier which had like a companion app and garbage like that, which is unimportant. But it really wasn't that much. So I've kind of rethought selling that, because at that point, like, when you take into consideration shipping costs to send it to someone else if you did sell it on eBay, US taxes on gifts is $10k? Well, hang on, $10,000, that'd be, what, $6,500 in British pounds, roughly speaking? That's double what it actually is. More than double. Oh, death tax, isn't that just another word for inheritance tax? Yes, Steam Force. I pasted the message that they sent in Discord on my day off, which, when translated, means, hey, your games are starting to ship to you. But they wrote it in character, and it just... There's only so much cringe my body can take before I start violently self-combusting. And Bard Song has pushed me beyond that limit. It's just... It's not even, like... I don't know, it's just... They want it to be really, like, epic, and all it just comes across as is terrible fantasy fiction cringe. And it's awful. Now, that doesn't mean the game itself is awful, because the story doesn't really matter. If I remember rightly, the thing with Bard Song is essentially it's just a dungeon crawling roguelike, which might be pretty good. No, it didn't cause an IBS flare because I didn't eat the cringe fiction. I wouldn't recommend eating it. So no, I probably will at least try Bard Song. I can't see myself painting the miniatures or anything like that though. But I think I'm less likely to just get rid of it now that I've reminded myself of, but they didn't actually charge that much. The alternative though is to hold on to it, because Steamforged also charged way too much for non-Kickstarter products of theirs. they put way too much of a "hey, you didn't back us on Kickstarter, so screw you" tax on top of their like post Kickstarter stuff. The one I was getting it confused with was the Darkest Dungeon Kickstarter, which was, well, I was gonna say it's not 300. Oh, it's not £300 I spent on that. It was $300, which is like £200, which is a lot as well. And that's one I'll probably consider reselling, which is also shipping soon. Oh yeah, sorry, only if they buy from you, them directly, yeah. But that's also basically part of, not an illegal con. I'm not implying any criminal wrongdoing, just to be clear. I'm just implying ethical conning that is not against the law. Unethical, I guess, is more accurate. I'm still like I'm not lying. I haven't backed Marvel Zombies even after my mother said, "Hey, I'm going to give you a little bit of cash to spend on whatever you want. Go be Flash with it." Because I'm still waiting to see, because it is such a, again, I don't mean a criminal use of the word con, but Come On Games know how to manipulate Kickstarters. They've done this many times before and they've become very good at it, as I said last time I talked about them. And it's a little predatory, I think, and I don't like that. Now that said, the miniatures look absolutely fantastic and they do good quality miniatures. But it's still a little I don't know, there's something about it. So I'm waiting to see, like, I'm going to wait for the final 24 hours to make my final decision. And I want to see if there's like a super all-in, ideally without the Galactus stuff. I don't particularly need a 2-foot tall Galactus miniature. Quote-unquote miniature. And this is where we can segue into what my other topic of conversation was, actually. Remembering that there was two of them. Because the books that I chose to read on my day off, I read two. I read two collections, and they're both Marvel themed. I read Marvel Zombies, which has one of the worst logos I've ever seen, for the record, and the Kickstarter is also using it. And I also read Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, which is a collection of both comic runs of that storyline. They're not at all connected, though. I'm not sure which one I want to start with. What one do I have least to say about? Probably have least to say about Deadpool Kills Marvel. The first collection is Deadpool becoming self-aware more so than ever that he's a comic book character, so he just wants to destroy comic books. So he just murders everyone, and then, kind of in a similar style to the Wanted comic, he kind of escapes the comic to kill the people drawing the comic, and then he just threatens the reader that he's going to come and get them next. Wasn't particularly interesting. I find it hard to believe that the only thing stopping him murdering everyone in the Marvel Universe is like his general level of confusion. I don't buy it at all. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Damn it. Well, that was only 18 minutes, so we'll certainly try again. The second one was a bit more of a realistic concept where like a bunch of villains get together and mind control him to go kill all the heroes. And then the last surviving hero works out what the trigger phrase is and tells him to go kill all the villains, and he does. It's something like, I'm trying to remember what the phrase is, something like, who ponders the conspicuous mind of a jellyfish or something? It's something, or a starfish, it's something like that. Oops. But yeah, I don't find it at all believable that Deadpool is just like the most skilled person in the world and can beat everybody in close combat, and that's it. Also, the speed at which his healing factor works is convenient based on the scene. Like the invisible girl explodes his brain, and then 2 seconds later he gets up and stabs her. It's like, that doesn't seem right. That's not how that works. I also, like, if anyone has read the collection, I don't remember if it's from the first collection or the second collection, I don't understand how he killed Taskmaster. I don't understand what happened. Like, you're hearing his internal monologue and he's waiting for the point at which Taskmaster is mimicking his movements, and then his head just explodes. Oh, nobody in a box, that's pretty good. Like, I don't understand what happened. Did Deadpool have a bomb in his brain? Like, I don't know. Like, that genuinely confused me. I had no idea what he did. And I looked at it a couple of times. Don't think there was anything else that memorable from it. Oh yeah, in the second version of the story, he refuses, like, the only person he doesn't kill, hero or villain, is Magneto, because Magneto is racked with guilt as being one of the people who kind of joined the little cabal of enemies, villains, like Red Skull and Doctor Doom and whoever else. They all team up to do the thing to Deadpool, and he just becomes an alcoholic washout because it went too far. And then Deadpool refuses to kill him because he wants him to have to live with the consequences of his actions. Okay, hang on. They were matching each other perfectly. Then a man thing popped up, and something about his abilities was with fear killed him? I don't understand what that collection of words you just said meant. Like, yeah, there is like a totem thing or something, kind of like swamp thing, but obviously not because he's DC. But I don't know how that's related, and Deadpool doesn't explode, so it's not that he's like mimicking what happened to him. Also, who the hell is Gwenpool? I know it's probably Gwen Stacy, but why is she Gwenpool? With an awful costume, and why is she not Ghost Spider? No, that's in the second version of Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, Taskmaster refuses, and Red Skull breaks his neck. It must have been in the first part then. Like I say, there's two different stories where he does it, and they're not connected at all, because you see the same people die in both parts. Taskmaster finally tracked him down to the Swamp of Man-Thing. Oh, is that Marvel's version of Swamp Thing? Is he called Man-Thing? Taskmaster began to mimic Deadpool's moves, and while doing so, even began to hear Deadpool's inner voice. He realised the truth which frightened him, and that fear caused the Man-Thing to incinerate him. What? Oh, right, the fear that he realised he was a comic book character? That's stupid. Like, the same thing happens to Professor X. He reads Deadpool's mind and then just like goes brain dead. It's like that kind of stuff is stupid. Like, in actuality, Deadpool would have absolutely no chance against most superheroes or villains. Even with his healing factor, it would not be difficult to defeat him, but like, I get it's the point of the story. Like, what if he was good enough to do it? But they weren't particularly interesting, and they weren't funny, which is the worst part. Although the second attempt at it did have a bunch of, like, you're seeing it from his perspective. It's all like cartoon drawings and unicorns and stuff. That's pretty fun. It covered up some of the more gruesome murders of, like, the child heroes by doing it in that style. Wait, so there's a third book? I didn't like the first two enough to bother going for another part. I don't really recommend them. Gwenpool is a comic fan who gets pulled into comics who uses her knowledge of comics. Ugh. Oh, that just made me that made me throw up in my mouth a little bit. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Like one of in the first instance of him killing heroes, he kills Spider-Man by like Spider-Man beats him in a fight, is holding him on the ground, and then Deadpool's like, "Oh, you didn't realize I had a gun," and he just puts it to his face and blows his head off. Is spider sense just not a thing? Again, it just gets super convenient. And in the second version of the story, he kills Spider-Man by deliberately taking the Venom symbiote and then using that. No, he only kills all the heroes and villains on Earth. He doesn't go into space. Oh wait, actually no, he does kill all the Asgardian related like gods and stuff in the second one. He takes Medusa's head and tricks them all to looking into it so they turn to stone. But that's it. There's probably, well, there might not be as much to say now, but there's the Marvel zombie story was more interesting, but I will say right from the start that the DC zombie story is a hell of a lot better because it's funny. Like as much as it's a stereotypical zombie apocalypse deceased, but it's funny and it makes it much more readable. It has a lot of genuinely good humor. But the Marvel zombies, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Because they're zombies, but they have all their faculties. The only difference is they have a undenying, like, a craving for human flesh. But other than that, they're perfectly normal and can communicate and use their powers, and it's just not as interesting. Although it did seem like they were doing some kind of weird thing about addiction. Because the twist, spoilers, is if they don't eat human flesh for long enough, they get over it, and the hunger just disappears. And then essentially they're just immoral. Which is again pretty stupid. Although I love that they also, like, it's not obviously a canon story or whatever, but they run with the correct angle that Reed Richards is subtly one of the greatest supervillains to ever grace the cinematic, no, not cinematic, the comic universe, where he's tasked along with Tony Stark and Bruce Banner to find a solution to the zombie plague, and instead he decides that it's the next step in evolution. And then when the other Fantastic Four members come to see him and he reveals that, they're like, "What, you're going to try and infect us?" And then he just smiles at them and says, "No, I infected you the second you entered the room." And then he lets them all eat him because he wants to know what it feels like to become a zombie by getting eaten. And to be fair, he might be a little bit insane because Zombie She-Hulk ate his kids, but it's mostly just because he's an absolute asshole and secretly one of the worst villains in the universe. Do not trust Reed Richards, he is a villain. He is an insane villain. Also, I think that like the story's main villain is probably Ant-Man. Although he's called Giant Man because I guess at some point he decided being larger is better than smaller. But he's pretty much the most villainous. He's the one that keeps on egging everyone along. And he wants to keep some food for himself, so he drugs Black Panther and keeps him hidden away in a locker and then just keeps him sedated so they can eat him slowly bit by bit and not let him go rotten. He was accurately portrayed in the Venture Brothers, yes, which is also excellent. And essentially the Council of Ricks in Rick and Morty is a parody of a Marvel thing involving Reed Richards, the Council of Reeds. It's a real thing. Well, the Illuminati isn't just him, it's Black Bolt, Doctor Strange and Tony Stark as well. Yeah, so Ant-Man is a bit of an asshole. He bites the head off his wife, the Wasp. Although she lives because she's a zombie. And that's how they discover, actually, that the hunger eventually disappears, because there's people they just thought were dead, so they ignored them. And no, they were still alive, and then the hunger just goes away one day, and then they're just normal, sort of. Actually, you know what? There's exactly one joke in Marvel Universe, and I don't know if it's on purpose or not. But it gets to the point where the zombies are travelling from planet to planet, killing everyone in the universe. And then the final chapter of that kind of excursion opens with Ant-Man saying, "I can't believe we ate the whole thing." Which is a reference to Homer Simpson's yearbook quote. That's literally the only joke. Actually, no, that's not the only joke. Because when Galactus comes to Earth, he asks where the Silver Surfer is. And then the heroes that are collected to see him are just like, "Oh, you mean that silver guy? Yeah, we ate him." And then Galactus is just staring down at them and just replies, "You ate him?" Which is fun. Also, everyone who got a bite of Silver Surfer gets cosmic powers, which is also pretty fun. I think he tries to bite... Yeah, he bites the Silver Surfer's head off, yeah. And then everybody else feasts on the body. I'm not taking Montezuma's revenge. Hulk kills a lot of people. Zombie Hulk kills a lot of people. He kills Dark Phoenix. Zombie Dark Phoenix. They do eventually make Galactus fall over and eat him, and then they get Galactus's power as well, yeah. I'd say the best part of it is probably like I don't know if they are normally friends in the comics, but the burgeoning friendship between zombie Luke Cage and zombie Spider-Man, because they have just a lot of nice like conversations about the monsters they've become and how much they regret it. And spoilers, but they side with the human survivors at the end. There's some of the zombies who side with the human survivors to help fight off the evil zombies. So yeah, they had okay parts. It was a okay read. I don't like that they have their full faculties. That's stupid. Oh, Zombie Captain America gets annoyed when Magneto uses his shield to slice off the top of his head. He shouts like, "Look at what this punk did to me! I get double rations when we eat him." Oh yeah, that's the other thing. That's how the zombie apocalypse starts in the Marvel Universe. Magneto from Asteroid M deliberately spreads it, but didn't realise it would affect mutants. So he goes down to try and sort things and manages to fight them off quite well, but eventually just gets taken down. And they don't turn him into a zombie, they devour him. As he screams at them, "I hope you choke on me." Yeah, Spider-Man does eat Aunt May and MJ, yes, and not in the fanfic sense. But yeah, the DC's definitely both a better story, genuinely funny, but also is still kind of apocalyptic because it treats it more like you should treat a zombie apocalypse. The zombies are actually zombies. They just want to kill anything that's alive. Are you thinking of the Sentry? No, in the story I read, it's definitely Magneto. That's the whole reason he goes to Earth, and the only survivors of the human race are on, and mutant kind, are on Asteroid M. And then they go down and repopulate the Earth once all the zombies go off into space to eat people. Oh yeah, that's another person that Hulk kills. Hulk kills zombie... Well, zombie Hulk kills zombie Thanos. Yeah, in the maybe there's been a more modern zombie story, but zombie sentry was not a thing in the book I read. Zombie Flanders? He was a zombie? It's been a little while since I sat down and read a comic book. I had some sitting as well. I've started reading Red Rain, finally. After saying like 3 months ago I'd do it when I bought the damn thing, but I have started reading the story where Batman becomes a vampire. Not far enough into it to really like give any thoughts yet. It's a pretty long book, so I'll get through it as and when. Pardon me. Wait, what? I have a Waluigi? Oh, I do have a Waluigi. Yeah, I kind of forgot that there's a run going on. Is this my third run? Because I died once, right? On this video worth, I mean. I think I did. This run seems pretty good. I have no idea what I've got, but it seems pretty good. Oh yeah, while I was reading all those comics, well, no, 2.5, well not even 2.5. 2 and the first chapter of, or whatever you call it when it's a comic book. I really don't want to have to go that way through those goddamn things to get to the boss, so I hope the boss is down here somewhere. I was just letting a music, like a YouTube curated music list play. As in, I didn't pick anything, it was just like, oh here, based on some of the stuff you've listened to, we're just gonna pick music videos on YouTube and play them for you, and it helped me rediscover like music I haven't heard for quite a while. For instance, Dancing With Myself by Billy Idol. Haven't heard that in ages. It's a good song. And, oh, what was the other one? The Impression That I Get by the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Like, hell yeah. I remember going through a ska phase. Don't stare at Waluigi or he'll stare back. Ska. Punk rock but with trombones and such. You know, like Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish, you know, that kind of thing. The younger generations don't know what ska is. Well, I told you what it is anyway. It's literally just punk rock but with like trumpets and stuff. What do you mean you didn't know you could have it as a phase? No, I didn't have like suits or whatever. No. I just went through a phase of liking bands that did that kind of music, that's all. I despise this room and everything it stands for. This one too, actually. This one 3. You're not a poser if you only listen to the music and don't dress like anything. Listening to music is the mandatory part of being a fan of music, or a musical type. Unless you don't listen to the music and just like a dress sense, in which case you are literally a poser. I like punk rock enough to learn how to play 2 instruments. What did you do? Nothing, that's right, nerd. Slipknot have been going since 1995. Can someone ask them to stop? Oh, we actually are going fast. I didn't get a teleport. Just take the damage. Didn't one of Slipknot become a movie star? I think he was in a horror movie. As himself. Or something that looked like himself. I could have sworn he was. With Ethan Hawke? I never saw it, but I remember things about it. It's not the Insidious movies. What was it called? Oh, what was it called? Damn it! I don't remember. People who do know it will be screaming at the video and or stream. No, if it's at the stream they'd say. Because they're able to talk live. What was the horror movie you're thinking of, Luke? The only Slipknot song I ever remember liking was Wait and Bleed. Actually no, there was another one. I vaguely remember the video for it, but not anything else. I think they were in a field. Not that that probably helps. Fear Clinic? Is that it? I don't remember. Doesn't sound right though. I was gonna say at this point we're not getting an angel deal, but we absolutely totally could, which is a shame. Just wouldn't have minded taking something there. Do any of them have any other credits besides voicing a Doctor Who monster? Ugh. Not so nice looking baby for this floor. Yes, please do. It's driving me insane. Well, it changes every floor, yeah. Devil's Carnival. I feel like I know it when I'll see it, and none of these names are... There's a movie called Berry Scary Movie? Is that a thing? Is it a horror movie about a bear? I'm sensing that there's no other information coming. Their music videos are listed under filmography. Dead end. Ow. Bad candy. I don't think so. No, it's gonna. Hang on. I know Ethan Hawke was in it. Hang on. Ethan Hawke movie. Scary movie. Sinister. That was it. Sinister. Let's see. Who was the? Was it a guy from Slipknot? Let's see. I don't recognize any of the names, so I wouldn't really know. Oh, Vincent D'Onofrio was in that, aka Kingpin. Oh, so it wasn't actually him, it just looks a lot like him? Or his character, I guess, because they're not obviously the things they portray on stage. Well, that explains the confusion then. It wasn't actually him. They just ripped off his fictional character in the band. I didn't know that. I thought it was him. I'm surprised they didn't sue. That movie was pretty good. Never saw it though. Unfortunately, I know the kind of twist to it, so that would ruin the watching of it, I think. I saw a horror movie that Paris Hilton was in, and she was in House of Wax and sucked. The movie in general sucked, but so did she. I should not have used my spacebar item because now it needs a charge. That was a luck up. Well, we might as well. Does the effect of 2 Poke-Go's stack? Guess we'll find out. Would eyeball tears help me here? I don't think so, but we're gonna die anyway, so why not give it a go? It's killed my range. Occasional psychic shots, I guess. Sure, we'll just go for it. The eyes have it, am I right? I'll both see myself out and have no idea what hit me there. Oh, his psychic shot, that's what it was. Time for another run to die on Hush. I'll kill him sooner or later, even if it takes a Chaos card. You know, it doesn't even feel like it's been that bad, because I've just not really been focusing on the runs. I've just been playing and nattering, so the fact that the end here, like half an hour in, doesn't really matter. Although that was longer because the run died like 20 minutes in, but still.